The second question we're going to look at is relevant. You in the army? Were you in the army?
I wasn't.
Okay. So people who are in the, let's say I'm in the army. Oh, we're on.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, titchachu.
The-
This is new, no?
Yeah, everything.
Excellent. Wow.
Apart from the phone.
Hello, everybody. This is a new machine. How exciting. Okay, so we're going to talk about two questions. The first question is calling up to the Torah. Am I allowed to call somebody up to the Torah if I know that this person does not believe in Torah? And this person's going to say, Asher bachar banu kol amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Maybe he means it, maybe he doesn't mean it. Can I do that? Another question. Can I invite somebody for a Shabbat meal if I know that they're going to drive to my home? So that's lifnei iver. I mean, we'll have a lovely Shabbos meal, but how's he going to get home at the end of the meal? And finally, what happens if I'm a religious soldier? Or religious anything, if I have a daughter who works as a nurse, and let's say she gets a Friday night shift. So she doesn't, or the army's probably a better example because you can't switch around so much. Let's say my mifaked in the army gives me Shabbat on the base. So for me, Shabbat on the base is, it doesn't feel like Shabbat. We can go to shul a little bit, but we're doing Shmirot the whole of Shabbat. It's not like Shabbat at home. You have to use
Uvdin
L'chol, yeah, very much so. I mean, they are saving Am Yisrael, and we are exceptionally grateful to every soldier who is protecting Am Yisrael. But for that particular person, their Shabbat at home would be so much greater than the Shabbat in the army. So could I, to a guy who doesn't keep Shabbat, so for him it doesn't make a difference if he gets Friday night off, so then on Friday night he'll do whatever he does on a Friday night. If he gets Tuesday night off, he'll do the same thing. It doesn't make a difference for him which night he gets off. So could I tell my non-religious friend, could I switch with him in the knowledge that if I am on base, I'm going to have a terrible Shabbos, but if he's on base, it's not going to be, he'll take another night off. It doesn't make a difference for him. Would that be something I'd be allowed to do, or is that a problem of lifnei iver lo titein mikshal? So those are the three questions that we're going to be discussing today. In the three questions that we're going to be discussing, I think we will get insight, as often is the case. You get to learn the person answering the question and their relationship with Torah mitzvot in very, very beautiful ways. So here, if you want to pass around the sheets, and I'll show you where we are. We're actually on page 3. What? No, we looked at that already. We're going to the Igrot Moshe at the bottom. Igrot Moshe. Okay. Now, I don't know if you know about this. Rav Moshe Feinstein lived in America, and he was often asked questions about the relationship between Orthodox Jews and others. Because that was a real challenge in North America. He lived in New York in the Lower East Side. The very important shuvot by him about mechitza in shul, also about cooperation between Jews who are shomrei Torah mitzvot and other Jews. These were real big issues for him in his community. So it's obvious that he would be asked about what happens if somebody comes to a shul, comes to a bet knesset, but this person is not somebody who's shomer Torah mitzvot, doesn't accept Torah min hashamayim, for example. So you invite this person, and then they're going to say birkot haTorah. Would that be a bracha levatala? Would that be a lifnei iver to invite this person up to make a bracha levatala? You hear the question? Okay, we're going to go. Oh, do you want? Do you have any thoughts?
No, please don't look at me. I don't have. Okay, I have, but I won't share.
I think that's probably a better arrangement. Okay, so if you look, we're at the bottom of page 3. Okay, yesh lanu lahorot l'maseh shebirkat apikoros eina bracha. You know, obviously, you can't say Hashem, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam if you don't believe in God. So then, when I say Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, so what does that mean? She'im kein nimtza she'av she'yishma lo v'yivarech hu kevelo bracha v'leka takana litein lo ochlir mashkin ela rak im alidei ze shelo yitein yitpatel. Oh no, sorry, I'm reading the wrong one. Okay, if you go to the bottom, I underlined it over here. You'll like, I think even Mail will be happy with what it says over here. So when it comes to giving him food, I think he's worried about giving somebody food if they're not going to make a bracha on the food. But I want to go to let's talk about the case of the Sefer Torah, which I've underlined at the bottom of page 3. This is really, really beautiful. He says, and I'll read it inside in a minute. He says, you never know, no one ever knows what other people are thinking. Now, I don't know what's on anyone else's mind. It's there's Rashut HaRabim, which is like what we see when we speak to other people. Then everyone has a little bit of a Rashut HaYachid, my private thoughts. I don't know what you're thinking. You don't know, no one knows what we're thinking. So how do you know? How could you have the audacity to say you have somebody who gets called up to the Torah, the awe of the Torah? You know, it's amazing. He'll get called up to the Torah. It could be that for that minute, when he says Asher bachar banu kol amim v'natan lanu et Torato, in that minute he's mamash connected. Like, who are you to make that judgment call about whether he's connected or he's not connected? Even if a minute before he isn't, and even if a minute after he isn't, but maybe for that minute he is, and therefore we could not take upon ourselves to decide, like, he can make the bracha and he can't make the bracha. That's not our position. Meaning, it's true that an apikores that makes a bracha doesn't have any meaning, but unfortunately we don't get to decide who is an apikores. I think that's a really, really beautiful answer. I know when I was in high school, I think this was probably an insult. Our teacher told us he wasn't worried about any of us going off the derech. And he said, because none of us were bright enough to become apikorasim. Not chutzpah. No, but I think what he also meant was that how do you know what chutzpah to have the audacity to say, you can and you can't? I don't know. And even if somebody said or wrote something, you know, like, do you know what person could do in a minute? You know, like that was a minute ago. Who knows what they're thinking now? And therefore, Rav Moshe Feinstein says you are allowed to call them up to Torah. You may be, as you know, ulai here as b'tshuva. Do you see that? That's right at the end. V'av shiru achar yomim av rak achar sha'a mu'etet she'adayin hu kofer efshar shechazar lesuro. Maybe he just like had this moment of clarity when he was standing in front of the Torah. And even if beforehand he wasn't so connected, and even if afterwards he wasn't so connected, but at that moment he was connected, then you can call him up. Because maybe at that moment he's connected. Now I just want to tell you how powerful this teaching of Rav Moshe Feinstein is. Rav Moshe Feinstein was very, very strict in terms of mixing between people who are part of the Kihila of Shomrei Torah Mitzvot and people who are part of the Kihilot, they're not Shomrei Torah Mitzvot. You know, programs between shuls of Shomrei Torah Mitzvot and then places where, Shalom Aleichem, how are you doing?
Wow.
Good.
Chaim, what more could you want? Ma shalomchem, all well?
Oh well.
Oh good.
+1.
Oh wow! I didn't want. Oh, thank you. You read between the lines. I didn't want to. Oh, Baruch Hashem, Mazal Tov.
Yeah.
Can you any more? Just one. Do you know? Is there a gender as well or not?
Brit will be on Tuesday.
Oh wow! Here in Machon.
We'll see.
Oh, one second. Wait. Does that mean he was born yesterday?
He was born 1 week ago, but there was
I see. Okay.
longer time in the hospital.
Oh wow. You look well. You look awake, which is a miracle.
I should have show you the meme he sent me today.
But you're all three of you are at home.
Yes.
Oh, Baruch Hashem. Oh, what a blessing. Oh, wow. Mazal Tov. Oh, that's really fantastic. I don't know how to continue now. שיהיה רק נחת, יהיו רצון שתזכו לגדל אותו לתורה ולמצווה, תברכו פה למעשים טובים. Okay, I'm going to make shako. Thank you, Fabricio. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהכל נהיה בדברו.
Amen.
So I just wanted to tell you that this teaching of Rav Moshe Feinstein is very, in the context of his general position, is fantastic. Because when it talks about communities, he's very keen to make sure that the community of Shomrei Torah Mitzvot is very clear in their identity. You know, we are a community of Shomrei Torah Mitzvot. And there are people that are parts of other communities, but we should not mesh. But when it comes to a person, an individual who's coming to my shul, so then you treat that, you know, like one honor that you're here, and we'll call him up to the Torah. So it's the difference between his approach to an ideology as opposed to his approach to a person. So he's very against non-halachic ideologies, and he is building up barriers to protect the halachic community from the non-halachic community. Why? Because that's a clash of ideologies. However, we see that he goes to great lengths to ensure that every individual should feel welcome within the community. You follow? Like, it's a very, very important distinction between an ideology that he opposes as opposed to a person for whom he makes every effort to bring them in. So somebody who wrote terrible, terrible books and has said 1,000 times that they don't believe in God, and he would call them up to the Torah, even if a minute before they said outrageous things, and a minute after they said outrageous things, who knows what they were thinking at the minute that they said the bracha, which is an incredible accommodation in order to make space for people. Does that make clear to you? Mm-hmm. I think it's a very healthy guide. You know, there's to distinguish between people and ideologies. That we have to be very clear in our ideology, but that shouldn't have an impact in the way we treat people. Joy?
Happiness.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, wow. That is a surprise. That's a turn up for the books. Okay. Good. That's the end of question. We're doing 3 questions. Oh, we're doing good. Now we're doing question number 2. What happens if I invite guests to my home for Shabbat, and then they're going to have to drive home? So, again, Rav Moshe Feinstein. So it'll be very easy for Rav Moshe Feinstein to say, don't invite them. You follow that? The easiest solution. But that's not a solution. You follow, because I want them to come. I just want to explain a real posek, just before we actually read the greatness of a posek, like Rav Moshe Feinstein, is not when you have to decide between the right thing to do and the wrong thing to do. It's when you have to decide between the right thing to do and the right thing to do. Where both, I don't want to be lifnei iver, I don't want to cause him to be mechalel Shabbat. That's the right thing to do. He should not be mechalel Shabbat. It's also the right thing to do that he should join me for a Shabbat meal. That'll be a much more enjoyable Shabbat experience than for him to be wherever else he might be. So it's an effort to navigate that complicated situation where I've got 2 options. They're both the right thing to do, but I can't do both. You follow? Okay, so this is what he says. Look at this. באור איסור שיש בהזמנת אנשים שיבואו להתפלל בית הכנסת בשבת, כשיודעים שיבואו. Oh, this is lovely. This is Rav Moshe Feinstein saying, I'm worried about people coming to shul when I know that they're going to come in. Can I read that the first word on the second line?
B'mashinas.
Machines, meaning cars. Yeah, very good. People, Nishalti mi Rav Naftali Karlebach, Detroit. Now, Shlomo's father was called Rav Naftali Karlebach, but he wasn't in Detroit. אם יש איסור לפני עיוור להזמין אנשים שיבואו להתפלל בשבת בבית הכנסת כשיודע שיחלו בשבת בנסיעה במשין. והשבתי להזמין את הרחוקים באופן שאי אפשר שיבוא בלא חילול שבת ודאי אסור. והוא עוד גרוע מאיסור לפני עיוור שהרי הוא עוד באיסור מסית. Like you're tempting him. It's not just לפני עיוור, but you're bringing him to your town on Shabbos and say, right now, let's see how you get home. That's more than lifnei iver. It's mesit, is to lure somebody. You put somebody in a situation where you lure them into being mechalel Shabbat. So you certainly could not invite them in a situation where you're forcing them to drive home. That would be terrible.
Like
you
they
follow?
live in a different city, for example.
Yeah, if they live in a different city, you could not invite them in the knowledge that you're forcing them to drive home. That just can't work.
So, in contrast, you're not forcing them, but they just this is their deliberate choice.
Oh, that is the answer.
Yeah.
Very good. So what do you do?
I'd say I would invite.
Like, it's their decision.
Yeah,
Oh, exactly. So what you do is you have to invite them for Shabbat.
yeah, and give the best experience possible.
You have to invite them for Shabbat. They might decide we only want to come Friday night.
Right.
But that's their decision, not my decision. You follow?
Right.
I can never present the proposal. I can never present a proposal that will inevitably cause Chilul Shabbat. My proposal has to be halachically watertight. And then if he chooses to do something else, well then that's his decision, not my decision. You follow? That's really Rav Moshe Feinstein's answer. That I have to present a position that is halachically watertight. There's no possibility of anything going wrong. And then if he says, well actually, well that's Allah for lo alai.
Yeah.
Is that clear to everybody? You follow? Mm-hmm. But then in the last paragraph he asked about something else. Okay. Here. בוודאי שרוצה להסתלק מלהיות חבר בבית הכנסת שהרבה מהמתפללים שם אין מתנהגים שורה, דעתי נוטה שאין להסתלק כדי שיהיה מי שימחה בידם. ואין להתייאש ולומר שוודאי לא ישמעו, כי מעט מן האור דוחה הרבה מן החושך, ולכן אולי תועיל המחאה להרבה איסורים. אך הוא כל זמן שמתנהגים בית הכנסת כשורה, אבל אם ישנו חשלום מסתר כגון שהסתלקו מחיצה שבין אנשים לנשים, או שנשואף במחד סדר התפילה וקריאת התורה, מחויבים כל יראי השם להסתלק מלהיות members שם. This is a different question. Do you follow the question? It's a lovely question. Let's say I daven in a Bet Knesset, right? Mm-hmm. And the Bet Knesset follows halacha. But let's say, I don't know, it's not the perfect Beit Knesset. It's my local Beit Knesset. But I'm either the Beit Knesset has become a little bit more open than it was when I started going, or maybe I've become a little bit more stringent than I was in my youth. Become a little bit of a kanoi. So I want to leave my old Beit Knesset. Should I leave my old Beit Knesset and go to a place that's more suitable to my new lifestyle, or should I stay in the old Beit Knesset? So do you know what Rav Moshe Feinstein says? It's a very beautiful answer. What would you do?
I'd go.
You would go. You wouldn't stay.
No.
Oh, well, you radical person.
You can stay in the old Beit Knesset and try to get them.
Oh, so that's Meir. That's your answer. That's Meir.
Well, the thing is, this is what we call synagogue shopping.
Yeah, shul hopping.
Yeah, synagogue shopping actually is. You go and you pick. This.
Yeah, that's a terrible idea.
It's not.
So he says, Rav Moshe Feinstein says, assuming that it's a halachic service, meaning they do the whole of the davening, and there's mechitza, and it's a kosher davening. Assuming everything is right, then you would stay in the shul. Why? Because you should never underestimate your influence on the Bet Knesset. You follow? Mm-hmm. Like even as a member of the Bet Knesset, don't need to switch the Bet Knesset because I don't know for other reasons. I should never underestimate my influence on the Bet Knesset, and therefore it's like the reverse of Lifnei Iver. You follow? It's like you follow what I'm saying? It's like I'm choosing to do something in order to improve the state of a Bet Knesset. So I should take that upon myself, unless there's some they're in breach of halakha. If there's something in breach of halakha, so then I'll get out of the shul. But assuming that the service is halachic, just, I don't know, a bit too much talking, or I don't know, the rabbi's drasha is a bit too long, or a choir, or something that just drives me. But don't underestimate your influence on the shul, and therefore it's not a terrible idea to stay there. Is that clear to you? I'm just going to add one little thing on that point. I learned from a teacher of mine, Rav Brovender. Rav Brovender, have you heard of Rav Brovender? He lives not far from, in Muttersdorf, not far from here. He said something very, very, very powerful. He said that we pray, to teach somebody to pray is one of the most difficult things to do. I can teach you the words, and I can teach you, when to bow, when to do this, do that. I can teach you the technique, but to experience prayer, you can't teach it. So how do I learn how to pray? I learn how to pray by being in the company of people who pray. I have to say, I personally look forward all week to davening in Machon Meir. I only get to daven here once a week. But there's no rush in the Bet Knesset here. No one's running off to work at the end of davening. You have like a Gedolei Olam at the front of the shul, Rabbi Cohn, davening. You learn how to daven by being in the presence of people who know how to daven. So if I know how to daven, I should not leave my shul, because who knows whether, just being in a shul and davening in the shul is a very helpful way for people around me to learn how to daven. Does that make sense to you? I don't know how it worked in your high school. A lot of high schools in Israel daven in the mornings. The school starts with davening. And Rabbi Brovender was very, very particular. And he said, you've got two types of teachers. If I'm a teacher, then I need to daven beforehand. You can't be a teacher and daven. You know what I mean? If I'm with the class davening shacharit, so then your responsibility is klapav. You've got your sitter, you're davening. You're worried about discipline, so then bring in another teacher whose responsibility is the discipline. You follow? But really, he believed, if you want to teach the boys in a school how to daven, you teach them how to daven by davening. That's how they learn. You follow? So that's why he's making a big fuss about somebody stay in shul. If you're in a shul, stay in the shul. Never underestimate your impact on the shul. Does that make sense? Joy, joy, joy. Okay, last question. This is from Shut Heichal Yitzchak. Now, I think Heichal Yitzchak was written by Rav Yitzchak Isaac Herzog, who was the chief rabbi of Israel, the grandfather of the current president of Israel. Here, now listen, this is really, really, really nice what he says. Can a religious soldier ask a non-religious soldier to break Shabbat? Meaning, can you take my Shabbat shift? You follow? Asur lechayal Yehudi dati להסכים לבקשת חייל יהודי לא דתי למלא תפקידים במקומו בשבת. לפני דבקאי תרי אברי דנרה, דת הרצפה במסכת עבודה זרה, עיקר שאלה כאן היא שזה החייל הדתי מוכרח הוא על פי הצו הצבאי לעבוד בשבת, ואין עליו חטא. והשני המחליפו אינו מוכרח לעבוד היום, אלא שאין השבת נחשבת בעיניו, ומרצונו הטוב רוצה הוא להחליף את הדתי. You follow? It's a very sweet, it's a story. The story is even sweeter. Because there's a Chayal Dati, right? So he has to be Mechalel Shabbat. So his non-Dati friend said, listen, for me, it doesn't make a difference. I've got my phone on me on Shabbat anyway. So you have to have your phone on you on Shabbos, right? So let me do your Shabbat shift. For me, it's no change in my lifestyle. And for you, it is. Can the Dati take up the non-Dati on that offer? And the answer is...
No.
No, absolutely.
the benefiting from the...
Of course. Also, he's a holy Jew. He can't benefit from a Chilul Shabbat. What a terrible idea. This is what he said. אפילו אם היה שלוחו בפירוש לחלל שבת בשבילו, לא היה משלח חייו ממש על המלאכה שאין שולח לדברים, אבל אסור לשלוח יהודי אפילו נוכרי לעשות מלאכה בשביל יהודי, אלא שהדתי עושה כך כדי להציל עצמו מחילול שבת. מה שטוען השואל שאלון דרתנו הוא מומר לחלל שבתות, והוא אין בזה ממש, שהוא מצווה על השבת. There's no difference between the obligation of Reuven, who happens to be Dati, and his responsibility towards Shabbat, and Shimon, who is not Dati, has exactly the same responsibility. What they choose to do this Shabbat is irrelevant, but they both have exactly the same relationship with Shabbat. So just like Reuven is allowed to be in Chalal Shabbat in Aaron Bet Gimel, so too Shimon. So just like Reuven would never ask, you never ask a religious Jew to do something. So it's exactly the same thing. You follow? It's a very, very powerful idea. I mean, it's obvious. There's very little halachic gymnastics required to get to this conclusion, but it's a very, very important halachic message here, and that is that there's no distinction between my responsibility to Lishmor Shabbat and his responsibility to Lishmor Shabbat. The fact that there could be one or two people that don't take Shmirat Shabbat seriously doesn't matter. Doesn't detract from their responsibility Lishmor Shabbat. Tem Shomim? I'm just going to finish off over here. Oh, beautiful. אי אפשר ליהודי להפקיע מעצמו את החיוב של שמירת שבת קודש. It's just impossible. You can't do that. You can't relieve yourself of the responsibility לשמור שבת. ואין כאן נפקא מינה אלא לעניין פיקוח נפש. Okay, I think we're going to leave. אבל לפני עיוור דנודנו לרגיש בו. וצריכים אנו לחקור אם יש כאן לפני עיוור d'oraita. It might even be a din of lifnei iver d'oraita. So the conclusion of Rav Yitzchak Isaac Herzog is that there is absolutely no doubt that even though this is a very sweet Jew, this is Shimon trying to help out his religious friend Reuven is forbidden from accepting the kind offer of Shimon, even though Shimon is, it was Shimon's initiative, because Shimon may not be observant right this minute, but Shimon's relationship with Shabbat is exactly the same as Reuven's relationship with Shabbat. So therefore, whatever works for Reuven is works for you. That makes sense to you? Oh, what a beautiful, beautiful idea. Halavai, that in the next paragraph, turns out Shimon was so inspired by Reuven that he decided Lishmor Shabbat. But I just made that bit up. That's just my hope for part 2 of the story. Okay, I just want to conclude our whole discussion just by making really just one point. One point that we saw last week. We saw a real effort by, first of all it was Rabbeinu Yonah, and then after we saw it in the Shulchan Aruch, and then finally we saw it in the poskim of nowadays, also including Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. We saw a real effort last week and this week as well to stress this important idea of lifnei iver lo titel michshol, which means the fact that somebody may not take it seriously does not in any way impact how I treat their mitzvot. Meaning, they may not treat their mitzvot seriously this minute because maybe they don't appreciate it. But I treat their mitzvot very, very seriously. And therefore, I take their lifnei iver lo titel michshol very, very seriously. Is that clear to everybody? So I want to bless us all with our unifying idea of taking everybody seriously. And even if they don't take it seriously, I take it seriously. And through that, Be'ezrat Hashem, we will lead to great things for Am Yisrael. B'viat Goel, Be'ezrat Hashem, B'mihar B'yomeinu. Yishar Koach. We'll pause. Oh, thank you so much. I think you just have to press a button now. Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, you